Alright, so I thought I would do a quick little video on why I think Liverpool are going to come out flying after this international break that we've got now. We've got 2 weeks off, and I think it's going to really benefit Liverpool this time around. We've definitely got some players that need a bit more bedding in. We've got a lot of turnover in the squad. We've obviously really seen the effects of that over the past few games, especially obviously 3 losses in a row. That Galatasaray game, I'm not sure if I can count it, to be honest, because the referee was the most diabolical thing that I've perhaps ever seen. But overall, I think Liverpool, obviously, not that far off from winning those games, even though the performances were a bit lacklustre. Obviously, I think we've got away with a few wins this season as well. Definitely some late winners that maybe didn't go our way. Obviously, Crystal Palace eventually did the same thing to us in that first loss of the first 3 losses we've had. And I think Liverpool are going to benefit. They're probably going to benefit from this 2 weeks off we've got now. Obviously, the players are going to go off. They're going to think about different things, maybe get a little bit out of their heads, perhaps. I think a lot of players definitely not in their best form. I'm looking at you, Konate. Obviously, fantastic last season, but definitely seems very distracted this season, making lots of mistakes, but he's definitely not the only one. There's quite a few players in that squad where you think they're definitely either carrying a little bit of a niggle or they're definitely not up to the standards, obviously, that we're all used to seeing them play at. Salah is the obvious one to talk about. Salah, an absolutely monumental player for Liverpool Football Club, an unbelievable legend in my opinion. But obviously this season it's just not really clicking for him for whatever reason. And I think also this is a good chance for Slot to kind of sit back and go, who are my best players? What's my best team? What's my best formation? How am I going to get all these good players in the team? Obviously we've got a bunch of players that are absolutely amazing that are probably going to miss out if you think it's going to be that 4-2-3-1 formation. Obviously, he's been trying to play Szoboszlai right back so he can accommodate Wirtz in midfield. But obviously, it's not been working for whatever reason. Wirtz is obviously struggling to get the ball in the right area so he can be that unbelievably creative player that we all have seen that he can be for Leverkusen. Obviously, we've got a few other players that haven't settled properly. Frimpong has obviously not got into the team much. Although he did look like a really promising right winger against Galatasaray, in my opinion. Kirkes has obviously looked quite unsettled, but in fairness, I think personally he looked a little bit better in the past few games, even though Gary Neville seems to think he was an absolute joke against Chelsea. I didn't think he was that bad at all. I think on the balance of things, he looked a lot more settled than he had been, a bit less frantic. But overall, I think this break is definitely going to benefit Liverpool in general. So I think it's going to give Slot some time to think about who he's going to play. The players are going to get a chance to go do something else, come back from the international break, and basically just have a bit more of a time to process where they're at, what's going wrong, and how they can fix it. I did think that they were going back to the right idea by having the McAllister, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai midfield, although it still looked quite leggy in general, didn't it? I think the whole team is suffering from a kind of lethargy right now that you can't really define. You can't really blame it on one player. I think McAllister's been very, very underwhelming this season, but in fairness to him, he didn't really have any pre-season at all. And it looks like he's still carrying a kind of a niggle or a knock, which is keeping him away from being that absolute best player. In my opinion, probably our best player last season, obviously, apart from Salah, who got an unbelievable raft of goals and assists. But I think McAllister's been a big miss for us. I think having Szoboszlai in that 10 position where he presses as the front 4, he becomes that 4th player that presses onto the back 4. In moments against Chelsea, you could really see how that was really helping the team out. Although we did seem really easy to play through. That McAllister and Gravenberch pivot did look quite exposed at times. Obviously, the Caicedo goal was because obviously they got past McAllister and Gravenberch was well advanced from their second midfielder in that space. Caicedo obviously ends up getting in there and scoring. But overall, I really do think this is going to benefit Liverpool, and I'll tell you why. I think it's just going to give them a bit more time to bed these new players in. I think we're getting that transition period that we were supposed to get last season, but we didn't bring any new players in. So really, it was like the same team, the same squad, very similar style of play with some tweaks as Jurgen Klopp. But I think Slot's really trying to put his own stamp on it now, and he's obviously spent a lot of money. The net spend's like 200 million or something. The overall spend was like 400 million, which is crazy. And I think it's going to take a little bit of time. And we're still doing okay. We're not in a disastrous spot. But overall, I think Liverpool are going to be fine, and I think it's going to give Slot a bit more time over the next few weeks just to figure out where he's at. I think hopefully some players will come back into form. But overall, the team just looks like it needs a bit of a rocket, maybe that extra yard of pace that we're missing from last season. Moving the ball a bit quicker when we're playing out from the back. Sometimes it looks very slow and very predictable. So just a bit, creating all of those kind of partnerships that you need to be seeing. The Isak Salah partnership, the Wirtz Ekitike partnership, all these little intricacies that look so promising. We kind of need to just try and bed those in a bit more. And I think they'll come over time. I think obviously it's too early to judge anyone really based on the past, 8 or 9 games that we've played. I think obviously a little bit disappointing this week, but by no means a crisis that some people are talking about. And in my opinion, I think we're going to be just fine. Overall, I would say we've got some incredible players. I think Isak's going to start coming good soon. Once they can start actually feeding the ball into him, I think obviously Salah having a little bit of a dip in form and just looks like he's a bit out of sorts in terms of the positioning, not getting the ball in the right areas. But you could say that about Wirtz as well. You could say that about a lot of players. But I think once we can start getting that free-flowing football happening again, a bit quicker passing, intricacies in the midfield, playing the ball through the lines quickly and then slotting it in for the forwards, I think Isak's going to start getting a lot of chances once Salah can find those balls in behind for him, especially in my opinion. Also, I thought getting in that right-back position, those overlapping left and right backs are going to be important as well. So we've not seen enough of that, in my opinion, from Kirkes and Bradley or Szoboszlai. There was one instance where Szoboszlai did do it against Chelsea. He crossed it in, Isak controlled it and Gakpo scored. So definitely one of the features of Liverpool Football Club over the past 10 years that we need to see again. Overlapping fullbacks, crosses into the box have been a really, really good area for us getting goals. I think we could definitely do with a bit of that as well. But obviously there's just something going wrong in that transitional kind of period where they play out from the back. They can get through us a bit too easy. The players just look a bit out of sorts. But I think it'll be fine. I think Slot will figure it out. I totally trust him after last season to do whatever he needs to do. And I don't think we've been that far off getting results in the games that we did lose in, to be honest. It's not like we got absolutely battered. We did get a little bit battered against Crystal Palace in the first half, to be fair. But Crystal Palace are absolutely flying at the minute, and I would have expected they probably would have got a decent result against us, if I'm being completely honest, judging by how we've been playing. But overall, I'm not too worried, and I think we're going to come back after the international break looking a bit more organised. And I think we'll probably grow into the season as all these new players start to settle into the squad. So overall, guys, I'm not too worried. Please do drop a like, subscribe. Let me know your comments in the comment section below. Get involved in the channel. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.